To help me answer this question from New York is investigative journalist and author Greg Palast. Thank you so much for being here. We'd love to have you on the program as always. Now, what do you think? I mean, is it these energy sources, nuclear power, oil? You've investigated so many catastrophic abuses of power when it comes to the oil industry, or is it the companies responsible for producing that and the regulators who are there to keep these sources in check?
Well, I would say that it's the companies that we should be very, very concerned with. Before I was an investigative reporter, I was an investigator and directed the racketeering investigation against the builders of the Shore nuclear plant here in New York, where I'm reporting from. And in our investigation, we found that the diesel generators, which are supposed to save the plant in case of an emergency, that the diesel generator tests were faked, that the earthquake proofing of the plant was faked. It wasn't just one plant, however. What we were uncovering was an endemic problem of fraud throughout the industry. And I should say that why? Is this, does this, attract evil people intent on burning all their neighbors up? No. It's just that it costs billions and billions of dollars to build a plant. And anytime you find a mistake, like in the case of Shore, we found that the earthquake proofing tests had been faked. It would be billions of dollars to make even a simple fix in a nuclear plant. The same company, however, is already selling wind power in Texas at 6 cents per kilowatt hour. The nuclear power is going to cost at least twice that. So it's actually cheaper to use, safer forms of electricity. Now, I suppose you'd be harmed if a wind tower fell on you, but I've never heard of, you don't have to evacuate 30 or 40 miles around.
But if it's cheaper, then why aren't we making a switch to that? I mean, it's not really, it may be cheaper to once those power sources are established, but it's very expensive to build, it's very expensive to switch over. So what's preventing the sort of change?
Well, nuclear power is way too expensive for anyone to build such a plant. So what we are doing is subsidizing. There would absolutely be no nuclear power plant proposal today anywhere in the world without massive subsidy. In the case of the South Texas nuclear project, the Obama administration is offering $4 billion in government guarantees to the project. Now, if you offered $4 billion for wind power, you get more and cheaper. If you offered $4 billion for solar power, or simply $4 billion for conservation, or even gas plants. I mean, after all, we have gas coming out our ears right now in the United States and Russia. It doesn't make a lot of sense to be fooling around with something that's not only dangerous, but incredibly expensive. Nuclear power wouldn't come out of the crypt if it weren't drawn out by subsidies.
So you don't think that crises like Chernobyl, like Fukushima, might sort of help us wean the country off of more dangerous sources of power like nuclear?
Well, yeah, obviously Chernobyl didn't stop us from building the Fukushima plants, which are supposed to be a great improvement. Here we are. Now we're told there's going to be more improvements in the next generation of plants. And when they go up, we'll be told once again, well, we've fixed that problem. I think that we have to make a decision that there is no reason to subsidize this incredibly costly, incredibly risky form of power. And in fact, one way to end this subsidy and see if these guys really believe it's safe is to remove the liability cap. Right now, if you have a nuclear accident in the United States, the company only has to pay $75 million. That's probably 1% of the expected cost of damage. If these guys think it's safe, well, let's remove the $75 million cap and say if something goes wrong, guys, you pay for it. You will see immediately that every single nuclear project will be pulled off the table. It won't exist.
Well, call me a psychic, but something tells me that they're not exactly going to go for that. Thank you so much for your time. That was Greg Palast, investigative journalist, joining us from New York.